Just a number 3 on the sides. That's what we did with the Oodie girl. She was actually in customer service. Alrighty, it is Monday. We got some pretty exciting results. On Friday, we cracked $1 million. So that's probably the biggest day of our year so far. The reason for that is we launched Click Frenzy Sale. I think we actually accidentally launched it early. So we got in a bit of trouble with that. It was definitely an honest mistake. We also launched a $1 giveaway lead magnet, which is basically you can go in the draw to win a $1 black Oodie. That had some great results. We also went kind of viral on a couple of UK bargain deals, like bargain deal sites. So the team's doing an amazing job. When I first started this vlog, when I came up with the concept probably 2 weeks ago, I was pretty worried.
What is stressing you out right now?
Just Oodie sales, to be honest. Like, I think the whole team the sales just weren't happening. The seasonality didn't kick like we thought it would. But no, the team's really rallied together. I think my main takeaway for brands in these periods of time is always make sure you've got multiple offers planned. So make sure that you've got, this will be our base offer. And then if your sales aren't hitting your forecast, so therefore you do need forecasts, you need to be able to predict what your inventory will sit at the end of October, at the end of November, at the start of January. Because if you're not hitting those sales, then you need to create a new offer. You need to rally, you need to push, because clearing anything in January and February is an absolute nightmare. So this morning I got up at 6:30. I didn't film because I was trying to get into flow state. Flow state is the balance between kind of challenge and focus. And I came into a new environment out here rather than in the shed that I've been in previously. I really turned off all distractions, put a social media blocker on for everything, turned on to airplane mode, and was just focusing on creating an organic content guide for smaller brands and larger brands as well. So I whipped up the presentation in about 4 hours. Most of it I already knew. It just about putting it down and putting it in order and giving some step-by-step guides. So by the end of the day, I should have that finished and refined, and I'll present it for the rest of the day as well. I think the sheep are getting sheared, whatever it's called.
Pretty chill. They are. They're lovely animals, man.
What else have I got today? I've got to catch up with one of my smaller brands as well. We've got a brand manager there who's crushing it. It doesn't really require too much guidance. Just jump on, answer any questions and offer any help that I can. Also got a Trend Rocket product direction meeting, just trying to refine that a little bit. I feel like we're a little bit lost. But in terms of sales, we did 1 million on the Friday, 800,000 on the Saturday, and then 850,000 on the Sunday. So pretty solid results for e-commerce. In terms of subscriber growth, didn't really sign any new ARR. And then finally, organic social media, we're going to start ramping it up today. So part of the reason why we're trying to do these daily vlogs is just so we can get a volume of content. With any goal, like organic social media, it's kind of like climbing a mountain. You can either just run quicker, walk quicker, climb quicker, and that's kind of intensity. Or you can change the path and you can change the angle, and that's kind of strategy. So our strategy prior was me just kind of filming random takes of things that I'm interested in at the moment and Shopify secrets. I think that strategy wasn't working well enough, but it also wasn't allowing us to do volume. It wasn't allowing us to do intensity. So these daily vlogs, like part of the reason why we wanted to do them is because it's just going to give us so much volume of content. So starting today, we posted our first vlog. We'll be able to, whip that into 3 reels and post those and increase both volume and intensity. So that should be pretty sweet. We'll actually start getting some follower growth, but right now it feels pretty flat. So I'm going to keep smashing out this presentation, and I'll see you in a bit when I can actually present it. So about to jump on a call with one of my smaller brands. It's doing probably about $2-3 million a year. A lot of people ask me about all of my brands. Very interesting thing happened as I was growing. So as a lot of people know, I launched calming blankets, did over $1 million profit in its first year, over $10 million in sales, and Oodie obviously skyrocketed as well. They were my 3 first e-commerce brands, proper ones. And for all of them to grow so quickly in the early stage, you can imagine how chaotic everything actually was. It's a very common question that I get from people that have just found a successful brand. They're like, okay, I've done it successfully once. I'm just going to do it successfully 10 times and set up processes and systems. I'm going to diversify. That is wrong. 9 out of 10 times that is wrong. Simply because it's grossly oversimplifying the complexities that these businesses will soon get. And the places that I fell down is, one, assuming that the synergies of the group would support the smaller brands in the same way, like we're sharing resources from Oodie. It's extremely hard to then designate the return on investment from each of these employees, in each of these teams, each of these expenses into those bigger groups. The benefits of synergies is hypothetical, but the benefit of focus is immediate. And what that means is that these employees and these resources that weren't focused on one brand really started to produce lesser return on investment. Functions like HR and finance can definitely be shared across the group, but marketing operations, they really do need focus to be really, really effective, and same with product as well. The other way I went wrong as well, it was through incentives. I think that you need to create owners of these brands. And that's what I've successfully done with this one. The brand manager who we're about to speak to, Jim, he is incredible. He treats the brand like himself. He's incentivized through the brand success as well. You know, maybe he puts too much pressure on himself. Sometimes he cares so much. But I think that's where I went really wrong in the early stages. Now, the other thing is the return on invested capital, typically for a brand that is scaling and has a clear product direction, a clear brand strategy, is going to be better than a potential brand. Like, bird in the hand is better than one in the bush. I don't know if that's the saying, but it is generally true. You've got so many ways that you can actually grow your initial brand. If you look at the Ansoff matrix of diversification, you've got product growth, channel growth, and market growth. You're probably better off using that capital to buy that same product and expand into another market, rather than launching a whole new product category, because you're going to have to create a brand new website, create a brand new email flow, all of these other things. Whereas new markets, all they require is duplication. And you've already got the processes, you've already got all of these assets, and you know that there's product market fit as well. So yeah, I regret launching so many brands without the proper processes, without the proper incentives, without the proper brand strategy behind each of them. And, you know, I was learning a lot about the industry as well. I thought I was, you know, I had way too much hubris. I was so confident in everything that I did because I got those early sales. But then as soon as complications started arising and I was struggling with like control of all of these problems, yeah, it all started to fall down. So now I'm much more of a believer in focus. I've still got a lot of businesses, but I don't like to have to make these decisions of where do I put all of this capital into these new emerging things when there's already something working. I'd much rather put it there. So yeah, anyway, we'll jump on the call with Jim and have a chat to him.
Davie, how are you?
Going good. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good, mate. Pretty good indeed.
How's it all going?
October was rocky. Operational and marketing issues. So the operational issues were pretty severe. So we had a duplicate order issue. A couple hundred tents, the orders were resent out duplicate orders. No one knows why. But then obviously customer service has to try and get them back. Then Australia Post has started setting back our tents. We just got a message from Order saying, look, we've got 2 pallet loads of tents here that have been retained and we don't know why. And from there, it was sort of like 2 weeks of friction and chaos. Like, it wasn't Australia Post's fault. It wasn't Bortles' fault. Australia Post is saying these aren't oversized. Bortles is saying that's why they've come back. Like we had sort of like Josh was getting involved in getting, you know, and Michelle and trying to sort of fix it, but ultimately it has been fixed, but it took 2 weeks.
How many negative reviews did you get? Were you able to mitigate those issues?
We certainly have attempted to mitigate them. Obviously, updating customers to let them know they're going to be late. Our reviews have been impacted, but usually, even our surveys, you can see usually our survey results are 9% plus are happy, extremely happy. It was 60%. I've never seen it that low. And we have been hit on Trustpilot and some other platforms as well. So
look, most of our negative reviews stem from the couriers and the 3PLs themselves rather than the product quality. And I think that's true for most part of e-commerce. So, but it sounds like, 2 weeks, to be completely honest, the fact that you got that turned around so quickly and now it's fixed for Black Friday, I think that's a positive result. Lucky it didn't happen during Black Friday. One option for it in the future, I'm not sure if this is viable with the 3PL decision we've got, is just picking other couriers and other rails. So do you think that is possible with the 3PL that we're at? Because that's a single point of failure with that existing 3PL.
And look, it did highlight it, and thankfully Michelle provided an alternative and has literally connected me with Careers Please, and we've signed an agreement with them and we're integrating. So their pricing is a little bit less than Australia Post in Metro, so that's even a win economically. But even just to have that second option, like it's a massive, it will be, it can just set back up. Despite that, I still feel we underperform marketing wise. So I'm going to take paid media. It's sort of like when things really fall apart, it's like when you need to sort of dig in the most and you need to be in there that extra 2 hours a day sometimes, really.
Look, you're obviously going to care more than anyone else, and by focusing on the high impact tasks is a good way to go, especially when your margin of error is so small, being, November needs to perform for you or you'll run out of cash. So, I think that makes sense, but then not being scared away from hiring in that role, simply because if you're always doing that role, you're never going to grow. You're only going to grow to that constraint. So, we can revisit that and I can make some recommendations when you're ready. Have you got any scenario planning for inventory if let's say November doesn't kick off as you would have hoped?
No, it's going to kick off. There's no backup strategy.
What happens if it doesn't? What happens if if Australia Post does something weird again and you can't ship? What happens if something catastrophic happens? And maybe you'll ship some, maybe you're 50% down on forecast, 30% down on forecast. Have you scenario planned that? We've
got the careers thing already solved, but I think I do need to be agile and if things don't work early, just be ready to change. I think that's something on the marketing front I need to be really prepared for. One of the comments I have in Slack is, I'm not sure if my offer is strong enough, and so do I need a more discount-driven offer? And do I need a backup offer, to your point, if things aren't working? What else? I need to be ready. I feel like turning the ship is hard to do.
You got to have 2 offers ready to go, even 3, just in case, let's say the first half of the month doesn't perform and you're like, all right, I need to be more aggressive. Otherwise I've got no cash for new products next year, and or fixing the region balance between the UK and Australia. So yeah, I totally agree with that. But it's just having the assets ready, or even just ensuring that you have the output within those teams to turn around those assets quickly if you need it, which you've been good with. You've been extremely agile and extremely fast so far. It's just, for your own mental sake as well. 1 email for the launch. You can fix the flows after that. Just the header banner. Chuck some banners on some of your top performing ads as well that call that out. And just have that ready to go, because you're probably going to use it for Boxing Day. Don't make it code specific. You'll still use it within the next 3 months.
If I did 30% off our retail price, that's too much discount. And so I'm worried, if I do discount and they'll make it lower, so I go 20%. That probably doesn't sound sexy enough to consumer now. That's my concern.
What's your current percentage and discount off?
12% as a percentage.
How much? 12%.
Yeah.
But is it $1 off?
No. So the new one, this is the new product. The recommended retail is $2.59. Our retail is $2.29, which is about 12%. Cool Cabanas have theirs at $2.59, around that. And so I'm sort of modelling ours a little bit off theirs.
I think 20% off is a fine offer. I think you might get more success with that. Have a look at it. And don't forget, your MER will come down with it during those months, especially if you do it for a flash sale. Your MER won't be able to catch your revenue numbers. So you might get 5-10 points of MER gains as well. So rather than running at 20, you might run at 10 just for those 3 days. Capture all of those bargain hunters that have been waiting all year for the offer. And then, go back to your free gift with purchase or back to your baseline. Is there anything else you need from me?
No, all good. Yeah, the daily mental sauce.
Cool.
Great, loving
Helping.
it. Yeah, keep that off for it.
Yeah, I'm doing some extra work for you behind the scenes as well with that, so I'll loop you in soon. Awesome, man. Good job. Bye. Oh, I always feel bad when the cleaners come. The house is always trashed. Something I get asked about a lot is, do you get imposter syndrome? And 100% I do. I think that imposter syndrome only comes when you are in unfamiliar territory. So if you're a growth-minded person and you're constantly trying new things and pushing new boundaries and entering new levels, you're going to get it. And the one thing that I keep reminding myself at the moment, because everything is just feels so difficult, I feel like I'm on, one of the final levels. And if I could break it down in that, the first level is you learn the skills. The second level is you run your business. Third level is maybe you're running 2 businesses. Then the final one is, can you use the pool of capital to create multiple businesses or provide a return on investment on that capital that exceeds the market, pretty much, the S&P. The way that I'm doing that is I'm allocating resources to either buy businesses or invest in businesses. And with that comes quite an active role for me as well. And I'm struggling so much with it, but at the same time, that's somewhat the final level, because if you think about a lot of the major billionaires out there and stuff like that, that's all what they're doing. Like Andrew Wilkinson he's one of my favorite people. He's always on My First Million, talks about all of his businesses, and basically all he's trying to do is find CEOs, find macro level trends, and make really, really good investments. So it's very, very difficult, but at the same time, if I can actually learn these skills and do this successfully, it's going to be a really good result. So up next, I've got a Trend Rocker product direction meeting. So just going to meet with the dev team there and give a few thoughts. There's not going to be major changes. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Going good, mate. Going good.
G'day. How are we? To bust open Chrome for this.
Really, for Riverside specifically?
Yeah, it doesn't. Firefox is not supported.
So wanted to chat about product direction. Obviously, since the rebrand and just the tidying of the user experience, less bugs, things are going great. Alrighty, so our sheep shearer has arrived. I'm gonna go shear a sheep. Mind if we film?
If I get credits,
What credits?
like when you put it on your thing, go Hobby Farm Express.
Hobby Farm, there you go, Hobby Farm. Already got the plugs.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to drench your little goats, make sure they've got no bugs in their bellies.
Get in there, bro.
See all the wool in its mouth? Yeah. From where he's been attacking her?
Yeah, the black one doesn't like the brown one.
No.
That's crazy, I didn't even know that. Well, they both hate me, so.
Oh, they're not very people oriented.
Yeah, they're not, hey. Chin Chin loves me and Gertie loves me. The alpaca's names, I didn't name them this, is Harry and Styles. Just a number 3 on the sides, fresh fade.
Come and stand right up here next to me so you don't get kicked, and just put one foot in between his legs.
What, there?
Yep. Now it's just like a big set of hair clippers, yeah?
Yeah.
So just like doing your face with the clippers.
Yeah.
Okay? Nice and flat, so you don't cut his skin. Alright? Nice and slow, really slow. Okay?
How far up?
Yeah, just have a little go so that you've got something for your video. Okay, you can come up and cut this little bit here near his arm. This is his shoulder bone, so you're just feeling with the handpiece. If you hit anything, just stop.
Don't cut off his leg.
That's a good start.
Okay. Hey, man. Looking good.
He's a nice boy, actually.
Oh, you're so skinny. Even if you don't have food, she'll still cuddle you. He's a bit introverted, he's a bit antisocial.
Yeah.
Takes after me.
Talia, take a photo with you before we go?
Yeah, sure.
Just so she can show her mates and they all get jealous?
Of course, of course.
How much do you spend on taking care of property?
I actually don't know. I literally haven't seen one invoice, so I don't think I want to know. There's a famous story about a sprinter. Don't look at the Coke series. Damn, Georgine, it's not mine. So there's a famous story of a runner called Mac Robinson, and he annihilated the world record in the, like, I think it was 1836 or something like that in the Berlin Olympics. But unfortunately, he was against Jesse Owens, who was a very, very famous runner, who actually even beat him despite him smashing the record. And then Owens ended up becoming famous, you know, tons of promotional deals. And Mac ended up becoming a janitor, which, you know, obviously there's a ton of racial things to talk about there. However, the interesting thing is, despite winning, he still absolutely, like, it didn't set up his life. And I think there's a really interesting lesson in there with, you need to be careful of the games that you play, because things like the Olympics, albeit they're incredible achievements, they're the world's best athletes in the sports. If you want financial security for you and your family, it's not the path for you for the most part. And it's definitely a winner take all. It also explains how, despite doing everything right, just timing, if you get the timing wrong, then there's a good chance that you can fail anyway. And, you know, whether you could argue whether it is a failure or not, coming second at the Olympics, but I do wonder if he had his time again, would he focus on it? So it's about 4 o'clock. I need to have 2 ribeye steaks now for dinner, and then I've got to get back to the organic social media content. I'm going to film that tonight. I haven't forgotten about it. I just need to finalize the slides, and then I'll record it on this, and that should finish the app. Just about 7 p.m. and I've just finished off the Daily Mentor Organic. I think the main thing that I was trying to talk about was Instagram Reels and TikTok, and specifically managing the social media feed as well for a brand. The main thing that I really wanted to push across is, what is your objective? Because too many brands, they're doing, you know, decent numbers, maybe $500,000 to $3 million in sales, and they instantly think that they should just start posting pretty photos on Instagram, and because everyone else is doing it. That is wrong. You really need to define if you are trying to create sales or just create branded content. Now, it's true that a lot of shoppers will use Instagram feeds to study the brand and make sure that they align, make sure that it's trusted before they shop. But then there's this other side of things, which is sales itself. Now, the best strategy was, I think, has been created is just the viral reel strategy. Tab Sex Chocolates did this really well, which is basically grabbing the viral content strategies that exist in TikTok and Instagram and paying creators to create the content and posting it at scale. But before you do that, you need to make sure that you can afford this content. You need to make sure that you can afford the return on investment from this content. You need to make sure that you can do something like UTM tags and Linktree, or you can use discount codes on the specific content, or you can just go into Shopify. You can filter by traffic and select organic and really look at the spikes that are coming through for that content. So let's say you post 5 videos over, you know, the month, you'll see the ones that go viral. You can measure a baseline of sales, go into the traffic sources or even the sales themselves and look for those spikes. Then what you can do is you can calculate the alpha on top of what you would have been achieving. So you've got your baseline sales and you've got your viral piece of content, and you'll start being able to assign a profit number per piece of content or per viral thing. This is going to allow you to create KPIs and measurements for your team, as well as decide who you can actually hire. You can then hire either, this is interesting because there's 3 different types of roles that brands can hire, and it depends on the size of them. You can hire just an organic social media manager. Benefits of this is they're often cheap. You can also hire an influencer manager. These people understand the transactional nature of creating content and for product for post. And then you can even hire a actual content creator themselves. That's what we did with the Oodie girl. She was actually in customer service, and I was like, wow, you've got 100,000 followers on TikTok. let's get you posting content, and she crushed it. She was posting daily content. The other thing is to understand how to find these creators. So you could actually just go onto Twitter or even TikTok and just write in UGC creators, and there'll be a ton of profiles that pop up that you can then reach out and message them and pay them $100, $200, depending on how much return on investment that you think that you can get based on the earlier research of those traffic sources and discount codes. So I think that not all products can actually lend themselves to a viral content creation stage, but if you're doing over $3 million in sales, chances are you definitely should have someone posting at least daily or every second day to keep that branded feed, because people will be watching, and you just want to keep all of that up to date. So that was the gist of the presentation. I'll probably put another one together tomorrow. But yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for watching.